All right, well, first off, I want to tell you a little bit about this project. So Mastermind started back in 2023 with the board saying, hey, we want to know if our grants are meeting the priorities of our donors. Well, I said, well, why don't we just ask everybody, since, I mean, anyone in McPherson County could be a participant, could be a stakeholder, absolutely is a stakeholder. And so we met with this guy named Rishu out of Ohio, and we said, hey, could you do what you've done for the Ozarks up here in McPherson County? And he was like, yeah, sure, let's give it a try. And so, you know, what better way to find out what people want than ask them? And so that's what we have been doing for the last 3 years. We've been asking the community, what do you value? What do you like? How do you feel in your community? And where do you want to see progress? And so this is Galva's today. And we kind of have, we do have this idea that through collaborative leadership, a committed citizenry, and some community visions that will have engaged and have economic stability in our area. And so but we all have to be together, and we have to have a shared vision of future. So about who took the survey in Galva, we had 31 participants, which was a little bit lower than last year, but your population is like 700, so still about almost 5%, so we're still doing okay. At the end, we asked the question, who would like to be involved, to get involved in my town to make it better? And we had 11 people say, yeah, absolutely. So that number's from last year. You had 18 out of 47 last year. The number actually went down just slightly to be 11 out of 31, but still we're hitting about 35%, which is like 1 out of every 3 people is actively engaged in their community. And that's a great number to have. It's a great resource and a great asset for this community. So in your packet, if you turn to page 2, you will see people's responses to the question, what makes our community special, and also local leaders. And I'm going to give you guys just a little bit of time. Yeah, grab a packet. Hopefully, everybody, yes, we have like an extra. So take a little bit of time, look over it and see, do you agree with these? Do you disagree? Do any of these surprise you? Is anyone missing from the list? All right, so I will turn your attention to our next page. So we have on page 3, we have an executive summary. It just kind of gives high level, like approximate, about what are we going to be reading. And on page 4, we talk about the confidence in the local economy. So this was where people got to rate, I feel confident. Things are going to get better, things are staying the same, things are going to get worse. Better, same, worse. And it looks really bad this year. In 2023 and 2024, it was a much rosier outlook, and everything went down for Galva. It went down for most places in the county. But there was one question that we asked that we hadn't ever asked before, was, are you interested in investing in your community over the next year? And of that, 26% of people from Galva said, yeah, I am interested in investing in my community. So even though it might look kind of dismal, there is a glimmer of hope or a glimmer of positivity in that likelihood of investing. People are interested. One of the things I want you guys to kind of put your eyes to is there was also the question of what businesses do we need in our community, and do any of those make anyone giggle? Which one are you looking at? Yep. That's the one that Jim and I were like, that's funny, having a Walmart 6 miles away from another Walmart. And not in a population boom area, just down the road. So so this is where I would like participation from the audience, if you guys are willing to put yourselves out there. So what can community leaders do to increase the citizens' confidences in their future community? So everything shifted to the negative. Now I will say, not a whole lot away from neutral. So if you said it's going to be bad, it was -1. You said it was going to be good, it's +1. If you said it was going to be the same, you're at 0. And so you're really not that far away from just like, it's going to be status quo as far as the current business conditions and future business conditions. Now, employment was a different story, but so what can we do as community leaders to kind of to increase the citizens' confidences in Galva? All right, so the next thing we're going to look at, so just on page 5 and bottom of page 4 and page 5, those are just there so you can kind of see what else is happening around these numbers, because we recognize that nothing happens in a vacuum. It's all influenced by things outside of our control. So confidence in our local community. So the dotted line, that is the trend line on page 6 for McPherson as a whole, McPherson County as a whole, and Galva is underneath. We did see a dip in community confidence since 2023. It's about the same as last year. It's a little bit lower, but there was quite a bit higher. Either way, we still have community confidences of over 60% across the board. So I wouldn't be too concerned, but just there has been some difference from previous years. So you guys mentioned that you do have a really good sense of belonging. So for some of those folks that are feeling more tepid, like, I kind of feel like I belong here, kind of don't, those like 50%ers, those that have drawn the numbers down, what can you do to strengthen their sense of belonging in this community? So it sounds like you guys have some great ideas to get moving on that. So the other question is about transparency and community leaders. So what can they do to increase transparency and communication with their citizens? And this question comes from when you look at planning, that is much low. Across the county, it is much lower than every other area of community confidence. But I do think it's funny that everyone's like, oh, not everyone, but much higher is the execution. So it's like, hey, I see that we have a new curb, haha, but nobody has an idea about where the new curbs are going, when the new curbs are happening, how do I get my curb on the list of new curbs? So what can we do, because this is across the board, what can we do to increase transparency and communication for our citizens here in Galva? As we look around the community confidences, we have other community indicators on page 9. Some of them include school enrollment and other things. And now the stuff that I really like and really get excited about are community priorities. So this is really the reason why we started doing this survey, is like saying, hey, folks, what would you like to see? And Galva was about as even-keeled as you could get. Nothing jumped out. But there were slight increases in resilient economy, vibrant place, and healthy residents, specifically with attract new businesses, remove and renovate blight, and then third one being accessible, affordable housing. Those were the top 3, but none of them surpassed 35%. So we have many, like if you look at the gray line, you see how you have like spikes? There typically was 1 or 2 in a community that was way far and away higher, and it's like, okay, now 50% of people want this, or 50% of people are concerned. That did not happen in Galva. So we're very moderate here. And things did kind of shift. You can see on page 10 how things have shifted over the last 3 years, where the top it as a year-over-year by resilient economy, vibrant place, engaged citizens, and healthy residences. And again, it's just kind of funny that nothing like shot up to the top as like this is the most important. So does anyone have thoughts on why that might be? Because it seems like maybe there's nothing that is exploding. Like there's not a big like eyesore or something. Okay. So my next question will then give you guys the opportunity to tell me where would you put money if no time, monetary amount, or skill was like, consider those things infinite. Where would you put money? Where would you invest?
One thing I saw in there that
so for opportunities, I mean, absolutely, like take this, share it. I sent it to you, Lori. This morning I did. It's
been right before you came.
I hope I push send. Sometimes I fail to do that. Yeah. Anyway, so if I didn't push send, I'll do it.
Yeah, make sure you do it.
Yeah. And this stuff will be on our website as well as the discussion because it's mic'd. And anyway, we will have a discussion later on countywide. We're going to talk more specifically about vibrant places because that's something that has been high on everybody's is how do we make our places nice. And I know that Lori and I have talked about parks here in Galva, and so that is on the radar as we move forward. So Mastermind grants will be opening up, I think, should be open by Monday. County grants, you guys are eligible if you guys have projects, especially if it's for the betterment of the community. I know that the school district has been recipients recently, and we're more than happy to help with county grants.